The moment you've all been waiting for. We are joined by Asher Monroe. Hey.
Hello.
What's up?
How are you?
Singer, songwriter, actor. You've got it all.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
no.
style.
Oh,
Although
appreciate
Ultraviolet's in. Next year,
yeah.
just so you know.
Yeah,
Yep.
the word's out.
And then we're going to blend in with our wall.
Oh, I know.
I like this wall. It's kind of like cool. It's like the architecture at the bottom.
We call it the
Thank you.
performance wall, which
Yep.
is really exciting because he's going to be performing for us today. So you do not want to go anywhere during this episode of After the Bell. We have a giggle fest today.
We do. I'm so sorry. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do when a cute boy shows up in studio. She just loses it. I'm so sorry for her professionalism. Welcome back to After the Bell, everyone. Okay, but people probably recognize you. You were on my screen last night. Everyone, calm down. Now, I was telling everyone I've been binging Parenthood recently.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm on the late train. I was up till 3, I think it was 50 in the morning. I Instagram started it and everything, and I didn't do it because I didn't know you were coming until today.
Sure.
So I was like, oh my God, he looks, and then it all
And there it all
clicked.
clicked. Yeah.
So you're well-versed. Actor,
Yeah.
and also you were on the V Factory, correct?
That was,
Boy band?
that was one of the first things. Yes. That
Wow.
was the first actually label I was signed to. I was Warner for the boy band V Factory. Yeah, that was the first kind of real music industry label experience I had. I mean, I was in music before that, but that was like the major label type of deal.
Right.
They were on a tour. It was a good experience. I learned a lot from jumping into that.
Yeah, and then what was it like? Because now you've transitioned off into your own solo career.
Well, I mean, coming out of the group was, you know, like I said, I took all that I learned from the touring aspect, just being like, you know, inside the studio with all these big writers and producers. And so for me, I was just constantly like taking everything I was learning and just kind of put it into my solo stuff. And I immediately, because I really didn't write a lot of my stuff.
Okay.
When I was in the group, we always had people do it. And so as soon as I got out of the group, I just started basically writing all my own music.
What was the first thing that you kind of wanted to write? Or like, what was the topic that you wanted to write about first when you actually had the chance as a solo artist?
I think at the beginning I was experimenting with sounds and genres and styles because I felt like I could sing a lot of different type of things, and it was just trying to find my niche and find what I was really drawn towards. Because again, I grew up listening to so many different types of styles of music. So you know, being in an ultra pop kind of boy band thing, stepping out of that, I really had to define what it was that I wanted to write about and topics and things like that. So yeah, I think at the beginning I was. You know, I tried you know, the love stuff, the breakups, the, you know.
Heard of it.
You know, I mean, that was that was a lot of what I wrote about in the beginning, and then just, you know, my life in LA and coming to like, so just using anything in my daily life experience to kind of motivate and put it into some lyrical form, and then just like try, like I said, sound-wise, just trying different sounds, and so that's the fun part about it. You know, it's just like kind of honing your craft, honing your ability, and working on something every day, and so. I didn't, you know, write my stuff. I didn't produce. I didn't engineer, and I do all that now.
Now
so
you have
great.
like the creative freedom to kind of take it in whatever direction you want to
exactly.
go, and here you are. Now you have your debut album, Inner Warrior, which is really exciting.
Yes.
What? Tell us a little bit about this album and how much you wrote with it and all that.
Well, this album for me was like a big stepping stone, and just like I said. Just finally, I had all these songs in my library. I don't know why. I think for me, every time I felt like I wrote a really good song, I would just like put it in my back pocket, and I didn't really want to share it, and I wasn't ready, and I felt like there was things that I wanted to tweak about it, and so I was always putting out singles, and then for me, I just was like I was just gaining a lot of my library, and I think I eventually got to a point where I was like I have an album's worth of material. And that for me was the stepping point of, okay, I'm over chasing the, you know, what's trending, what's the single stuff, and just put out a body of work that I really stood by, that I worked really hard on, that I really loved. And I wanted to stand by each song. I wanted to play it 100 times and not get sick of it. So for me, that's what the 13 songs you hear on this album, those are the ones that made it. And then I eventually, like I said, just went back in and honed those 13 and got it to where I'm a perfectionist. I'm a Virgo, so I'm constantly fine-tuning things, and so I finally had to let go. That's really what it was about letting go and finally like just letting it out to the public and let them hear all the stuff that I was working on. So.
Is there one song out of those 13? I know it's a very difficult question. It's like choosing a favorite child, which your parents will never do. But is there one that you're specifically just very proud of, and is there a reason behind that?
They all have an interesting story behind them, and definitely it all came along on a long journey. But in terms of one that was like, for me, I think I think Hurricane was that song where it was like an anthemic feel. I wrote everything, I produced most of it. It was just like, for me, I just felt like I had such a great song on my hands, and I knew it from the first 4 chords that came about of like, oh, this is going to be something really cool.
Right.
I'm actually going to be shooting a video. I'm finishing it probably in the next 2 weeks for that song.
Exciting.
Are we shooting it in LA? Do we know location?
I was actually outside talking. That's why I was like running 5 minutes late. I was like literally talking to somebody about location scouting and trying to figure out exactly where I was going to shoot it.
Okay.
But I want to do it in the desert, so a lot of people are telling me to go really far out, and
Right.
that's a little harder when it comes to like when you have an image in your mind,
Yeah.
but then you're like, oh, it's not really close to LA.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to travel pretty far to get this vibe and this look that I'm going for. But it's actually, I'm doing like a visual album, really. It's going to be like a 25-minute mini short film.
Oh, that's
and it's
really
gonna
cool.
intertwine, like some of the songs and I directed it, I wrote the script, and I did this whole thing. And so it's a cool little project, and it's the most current thing that I'm working on now.
What'd you do today? Wow! Oh my gosh,
Seriously.
you're so busy.
I know.
I think like I said, once I put the music out, I have to kind of like
you have to keep the train going. Yeah,
keep going. So I think that's what I'm currently doing, and then obviously New Year comes, new music.
Right. Now, I'm always curious to ask this question, is that once you put your music out there, and I'm assuming some songs are inspired maybe by certain people, maybe in your life or not in your life, do you ever get those phone calls of someone asking like, hey, so was I the hurricane? Or, was I the inspiration behind that song?
To be honest, I have not gotten any calls that have asked me specifically if it was written. But I think a lot of people, maybe they're too nervous to ask, or they're maybe whatever. But it's possible. I mean, it is funny to hear the backstory of a lot of songs of like who was the muse, who was the inspiration, and so I think that of course there's a core to all my songs, and definitely I think a reason why I picked these 13 songs was really more on the lyrical story content. I didn't try to pick like the cheesy stuff that was just like kind of come and go. I really tried to pick the ones that I felt like had a little bit more of a story to them.
You are quite the storyteller, I feel. And again, speaking of stories, you've been in some really prominent roles on very well-known television shows. I know a lot of you out there have seen Parenthood. And so did you start in acting?
Well, technically yes and no, because the first thing that I ever got when I was 6 years old was the National Broadway tour Beauty and the Beast. So that was really the first thing that I was like stepping foot into the industry, quote unquote.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess it was a combination of acting, singing, and dancing and all that. So theater and Broadway was really my roots, and that's how I started. And I did a lot of shows when I was young. I was always, literally for 5-6 years, I was traveling the country just doing different shows. And so that was really, that's my roots, that's where I started. And then I think as my career progressed, I just wanted to try other things. So I wanted to try acting, or I even did modeling at one point in New York. And
you model crazy.
Yeah,
so
crazy. It's cool. No, it's just you try. I just was like always just wanting to try different things. So yeah, I love the acting side, but I just at one point, especially with doing this music album, it was really hard to juggle, like going to all these auditions and working and doing acting and trying to stay focused on my music. And I just wanted to focus on one thing, and that's why I think I kind of just took a little hiatus on acting and just really focus on the music. Music's my passion, really. Music is really what drives me, it's what got me into every door.
Right.
And but the acting is still fun. I love it, but
what do you get stopped for the most?
It was funny. I was in Peru just 2 weeks ago, and all the people at the airline wanted to take a picture, and it was hilarious. I don't know what they knew me from. If it was, it's funny when people like come up to me and it's always something so random. I can't tell you.
Right.
Like, it's always something different. Like, I saw you in there, and I think that's a cool thing, because I'll do some of these interviews or whatever, and you don't feel the effects of it. You just do it, and it's just doing muscle. So I think that it's fun to see the other side of it when people like see something, or they like a song, or even people that have come up and done like covers or something of the songs. Like, that's really always I love just seeing like new musicians or new people wanting to like take a cover or a spin on your song. I always love that. So that's part of it. Part of it.
So what's next then? Now with the album out, are you gonna be touring?
Yeah,
I know you got the music video in the works that we got to do.
I mean, there's definitely talks in tour. Hopefully for the new year, we're definitely planning some stuff. I'm really wanting to put together actually a tour of my own and get some other artists that I really like and so I've gotten a couple yeses and I'm waiting to kind of put that together. The logistics of the routing takes a minute, but we're working on that, and I'm actually going to start writing a whole new start of the new year. I really want to start working on new music.
I can't
so
process
exciting.
everything as fast as he's saying.
I know.
You do so much in your day. I don't even understand, but good for you. My New Year's resolution is to be more like this guy right here. Please give me what he has. Yes. Any resolutions then for that coming year?
Stop biting my nails.
Oh, me too! Oh, that looks so bad.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Because it's on the top of my mind. I'm like, I gotta just stop doing that.
That's
I've been
so
doing
funny.
it ever since I was a kid, and it's just a bad habit. You know, it's one of those things where we all have this. That's one thing I could kick.
You know, though, one thing I'm not big on guys, though, is long nails either. I was like, oh, please bite your nails. Or, you know, like when guys have long nails, they forget to bite them. So it's like a double-edged sword.
It's a double, it is. It's a catch-22.